So for 8.1, we talked about the volume of a what? We talked about the volume of a cylinder for 8.1.
And a cube.
And a cube, right. We did talk about the volume of a cube. Today, we're going to talk about, for chapter 8.2, hello, write this down please. Today, we're going to talk about the volume of a cone.
Oh.
Okay, volume of cones. Guys, hey, come on, let's sit down please. Okay, volume of cones. Okay, so I have a picture, I have a visual representation of a cone. Okay, don't worry about this part going through it, okay? But a cone, think of like an ice cream cone, right? It's like an ice cream cone or like a snow cone. Can you think of anything else that is in the shape of a cone?
A drumstick.
Yeah, like the drumstick ice cream, yes.
Like the actual orange cone.
The actual, like, orange traffic cones, yes, that's why they're called traffic cones.
Buddy the elf, his hat.
Buddy the elf's hat.
A gnome hat.
Yes.
A gnome hat.
A gnome hat.
I'm smart.
Great, you guys are super smart.
I said gnome hat.
Well, I said
Yes,
no.
that's on video, so. Awesome. Okay, so the formula for a volume of a cone, okay? Formula for volume of a cone is, let me find a good color.
Oh yeah.
The volume of a cone is equal to 1/3. Volume of a cone is equal to 1/3 pi r squared times h. Pi r squared times h. Okay, I feel like this is a little out of focus. We're going to try to focus that. So volume is equal to 1/3 pi r squared h. Okay, what does that look really, really similar to? What kind of formula does that look similar to? What is it if I had pi r squared h?
Oh, this is
That's the cylinder one. So really, the only difference between volume of a cone and volume of a cylinder is you multiply by 1/3. Okay? And it's because it's not solid. Listen, it's because it's not solid all the way up. Okay, it's because it's in like a cone, a cone shape.
Cones are my enemies.
Okay, so if I ask you to find, okay, guys, I really need you to stop with the talking, please. Okay, so I would like you to, for example, number 1, find the volume of the cone to the nearest tenth. Okay, can anyone tell me to the nearest tenth? So that means how many decimal places? One decimal place. 1 decimal place. Okay, it is important. If you put more than 1 decimal place in your answer, it's going to be wrong. Okay, we are getting ready to do state testing in about 3 weeks. And I know we're going to be practicing for it. If literally, like if you guys put the wrong number of decimal places on state testing, you'll get the whole problem wrong. So you can do all this math and then just not put the right number of decimal places. So that's why I'm going to be pretty picky about this stuff.
Is it on the computer?
It is going to be on the computer, yes.
I do so bad.
So, nearest tenth means 1 decimal place. So, if I give you, okay, listen, okay? The way you draw a cone is basically to put a oval at the bottom, or circle at the bottom, oval at the bottom, and then draw, well, that is not a good drawing. Up, sorry, that's a little bit sideways. I'm sorry. I am not a good artist, obviously. Okay, so that's my cone. Sorry.
Oh, that's great.
I'm sorry. So, you need to know that the height of this cone, okay, the height of this cone, so from the top to the bottom, height of this cone is equal to 4 inches. Okay, the height of this cone is equal to 4 inches. Stop pushing stuff. And you also need to know that the diameter of this cone is 5 inches. So the diameter of this cone is 5 inches. It's a large cone, yes.
Large ice cream cone.
Large ice cream cone.
That doesn't look like the same as
I know. I apologize. My eraser is. I'll get an eraser.
Your head.
No, I don't have one. I'm. I'm sorry that my cone is a little lopsided. I'll fix it just for you, Jennifer.
You should see Malia's.
Hey, you know what? And she's okay with that.
She drew a pen.
She drew a huge circle and like a triangle in the middle.
Okay, there. Is that better for you now?
A lot better.
Are we happier? It's still 4 inches tall.
I didn't even really care.
I didn't care either.
Whatever. Okay, so now we just have to use the formula. So if I'm going to plug this into the formula, the volume is equal to 1/3. What's, here we're going to leave this as pi. What is your radius? What's the radius?
2.5.
2.5. Okay, radius is half of the diameter. So 2.5 squared times what's your height?
4.
4. So if you're going to do this on a calculator, where would you start?
2.5 squared. Exponent.
Okay, start with the exponent. So 2.5 squared gives us, so we're going to have 1/3 times pi times 6.25 times 4. How would you do this next on a calculator?
The 6.25 and 4.
Multiply everything on the top and multiply everything on the bottom. Okay, so on the bottom it's going to be a 3. So if you multiply everything on the top, so 6.25 times 4 times pi, it gives us a really big number, and then divided by 3. My whole answer is going to be equal to 26 point, and what this says. It says 1799, all these decimals.
2.
How would I round this to 1 decimal place?
2.
26.2, and what should my label be?
Inches.
Inches cubed. Okay, 26.2 inches cubed.
Wait, so that's all we do?
That's all you do. Just plug it into the formula.
Oh.
It's really easy doing it here than when I do my homework.
I know, we're going to try. Say it again, sweetie.
Wait, how'd you get it, sweetie?
6.25 is 2.5 squared. Got it?
Did you multiply by... No, you divided by 3.
Right, I divided by 3.
I thought you would multiply.
And then you multiplied by 1. The 1 on 1.
So multiply 1 times pi times 6.5 times 4 will give you 25 pi.
But it would be the same thing. And
You would get the same thing, yeah.
And then you divide by
And then divide by 3, yes.
what is that?
Yes. 25 pi. Okay, guys, hey. Do we need to move back to our regular seats to where we're supposed to be? Or can we manage to pay attention while you're sitting next to your friends? Okay, then let's stop the talking, please. You guys are being very rude right now and I'm not appreciating it. Okay, next one we're going to work on, okay? It's going to say, this one's going to be a little bit of a word problem, okay? It says a cone-shaped vase, so like we're going to put flowers in this vase, has a height, because our whole lesson today is about the volume of cones. A cone-shaped vase has a height of 15 centimeters and diameter of 8 centimeters. I would like you to find the volume of the find the volume to the nearest tenth. Okay, find the volume of the vase to the nearest tenth. So if you want to, you could draw a picture. You do not have to. Okay, but if we draw a picture, a vase would obviously have the opening at the top. So it's going to be a cone like that.
How does it stand up?
I don't know. You know what? It must have like it sits on like a stand. It's like a stand. There, yep, there you go.
If we did the other way and hold it, it would be like...
Great. Okay, so the height is going to be what? 15 centimeters. Okay. If the diameter is 8 centimeters, what is the part that I need from that? Is it the 8? Or what part do I actually need from the diameter?
You have to.
I need the radius, and the radius is going to be what? 4 centimeters. Then we want to plug in. Remember, volume is equal to 1/3 pi r squared h. So we're going to plug in 1/3 times pi. What's your radius?
4.
4 squared, and what's my height?
15.
15. Okay, so if you multiply everything together, 4 squared gives you 16. 16 times 15 is equal to...
Wait, don't we times it by pi too?
We're going to, yeah. So if you multiply everything on the top, you've got 240 pi over 3. Now, on your calculator, you can do this. How would you write 240 pi over 3? Could you reduce that? How would you reduce that? Does 240 and 3, can you reduce those?
Yeah, divided by 3.
Divide by 3, and what would that leave you?
80.
80 pi. So if I asked for the answer in terms of pi, that's your answer. If you actually multiplied it, you would do 80 times pi, and 80 times pi is equal to this number, 251.3274123, and it probably has more decimals than that. So how would I write this to the nearest tenth? 251 point what? 3. And this is what? What's its label?
Centimeters cubed.
Centimeters cubed. What don't you get? Oh, good. So we're just multiplying. So if I ask for your answer in terms of pi, you leave it like this. Okay, if I want you to actually multiply it out, you'd write it like this. And the way you can tell a lot of times is just based on the answers. Okay, if this was a multiple choice question and all the answers had pi's in them, you'd leave it like that. If none of them had pi's in them, you would actually multiply. Yes, ma'am? Because 4 squared is 16. 16 times 15 is 240. So I multiplied it on my calculator. Whenever we're doing multiplication, you don't have to go in order. So I multiplied the whole numbers first, and then I left out the pi. Because remember, order of operations, you can multiply things in any order. So you don't have to multiply the pi part first. Okay, we're almost done. Let's write one more. Okay, for example number 3. I'm going to ask you to find the volume of the solid. Okay, and again, round to the nearest tenth. Guys, come on. Mark, Drew. Sit down. Get to work.
Sit down.
Yeah. Stay in your seat. Get to work. Okay? Find the volume of the solid, round to the nearest tenth. Okay? This one's going to be a little bit different looking. If I can draw it. Okay? It's going to have a cone on one end. Okay, so a cone kind of on its side. But then it also has a cylinder attached to it.
Oh, I see.
That's a weird shape.
It is a weird shape. Here, let me show you what it's supposed to look like. It's supposed to look like that. Can you see it?
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry that if I'm not very artistically inclined.
You can back to like your version.
Yes.
Well, all right then.
Okay, so the measures that you need to know is the radius of this circle is 4 inches. And the height of the cone part is 10 inches. And the height of the cylinder part is 3 inches. This is something that we would call a composite shape. Okay, composite means we're putting 2 shapes together. So if we're putting 2 shapes together, how do you think you find the volume? Find the volume of one shape and find the volume of the other shape and put them together. So we have two parts here. You want to first find the volume of the cylinder. Okay? Volume of cylinder. So I'm going to draw them separately. Okay? And you would draw the volume of the cylinder plus the volume of the cone. And then we're just going to add them together. Okay? So I'm going to draw a cylinder. Okay, and I'm going to find the volume of this cylinder. So the volume of this cylinder, it has a length or height of 3 inches and a diameter, or excuse me, a radius of 4 inches. Okay, would you agree that that's just the cylinder part?
Yes.
It's supposed to be. Then the cone part is kind of a sideways cone. The cone part, again, has a radius of what?
10.
What would the radius be?
5.
4. Look at this radius. If it's 4 here, then the radius of the cone is also 4 inches. What is the height of the cone?
3.
Height of the cone is 10 inches. Okay, the cylinder had a height of 3. The cone has a height of 10. So we have to know 2 different formulas, okay? What's the volume of a cylinder formula? Volume equals pi r squared h. What's the volume of a cone? Volume equals 1/3 pi r squared h. So you're going to take the parts that you know, and we're going to plug them in. So here, pi, what's your radius?
4.
4, and you're going to square that, multiplied by what's the height?
3.
3. So if we work this out, this is going to be pi times what's 4 squared? 16 times 3. What's 16 times 3? So 48 pi. You see how I did that? Pi times 16 times 3 is equal to 48 pi. Do we agree on that?
Yes.
Okay. Then we're going to add to that. Here, let's plug in 1/3 times what's your radius, or excuse me, times pi, times what's your radius?
4.
4 squared times what's your height?
10.
10. So this is going to be 1/3 times pi times 16 times 10. If you multiply that together, what do we get? 160 pi over 3. Do we agree it'd be 160 pi over 3?
Yes.
Now, let's actually add these together. So if we're going to do 48 pi, I'm going to convert this on my calculator to be whole numbers. So I'm going to multiply by the pi. So we said 48 times pi, so 48 pi is equal to, how would you write that to one decimal place?
150.8
150.8. And it's what? 150.8 what?
inches cubed.
Inches cubed. Plus, this one, we're going to multiply 160 times pi, and then divide by 3. So that one is what? 167 point what? 0.55, so it rounds to what? 0.6 inches cubed. And then we add them together. So 150.8 plus 167.6 is equal to 318.4 inches cubed. So if you have a composite figure, literally all you have to do is figure out the volumes of the individual parts and then add them together. Okay, find the volume of the parts and then add them together. Do we have questions on how I did that? No. Questions? Okay, I'm going to let you guys work on this work for a little bit, and then we're going to do one more set of notes. So write this down. Your homework is going to be starting on page 601. You are doing numbers 1 through 11 and 15 through 29. Okay? You're going to have a good amount of homework tonight. Okay? So get started right now. You want to use your time wisely, please.